The Congress party has been called many things this week, including being a party that's in the deep freezer and one that provides TRP to the BJP. Those words came not from Narendra Modi, but from Mamta Banerjee. In a moment from now, we'll be talking to the Trinamool's parliamentary party leader in the Rajya Sabha to find out what exactly is brewing when Derek O'Brien keeps asking the Congress to smell the coffee. Let's take you through the developments of this big political story. Mamta Banerjee is clearly positioning herself as the face of the national opposition, and an article in a journal that is pro-TMC said as much. In fact, Trinamool Congress leaders in this past week have been talking about how the Congress needs to abandon what it called its zamindar attitude to the opposition. Prashant Kishore, strategist to the Trinamool Congress, said that the Gandhis did not have any divine right to leadership. The Trinamool is on a clear expansionist plan targeting Goa in these upcoming elections and poaching aggressively from the Congress. What's actually going on in this clash, and will it leave Narendra Modi with the last laugh? Beyond the rhetoric, what's actually happening on the ground? Derek O'Brien with the inside story of what has come to be a high voltage national assertion in the headlines by Mamta Banerjee. He's the parliamentary party leader of the Trinamool in the Rajya Sabha, joining us from Goa, which, as I said, is the next battlefield for the Trinamool Congress. Derek, welcome. It's been a while. Great to have you back with us again. What's going on? We thought Mamta Banerjee and Sonia Gandhi were on the same side. When did the battle between Mamta and the Gandhis become almost more ferocious than the battle between the Trinamool and the BJP?
No, this is not about personalities. This is nothing personal. So please don't try and make it personal. The situation is such. Couple of points. First is that unlike parties like the Shiv Sena and the NCP, who are running governments with the Congress or DMK, or other parties who are electoral allies of the Congress, i.e. CPIM, CPI, RJD, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, and so many other allies in Kerala, the Trinamool Congress is not an ally of the Congress party, not an electoral ally, nor are we running government with the Congress in any state. This is the first important distinction which we must make. So when you decide X, Y, Z in parliament, all your allies and all your other partners can fall into place. We are what you would classify as a like-minded party.
Okay.
Our primary goal is to defeat the BJP.
Not so like-minded these days. Not so like-minded these days.
No. Like-minded in the sense, now you come to the second part, which is the issue of the so-called the ex-UPA. As we have said, the UPA was only formed for governance. 2004 after the elections. So the UPA is now non-existent. The basic situation here is our strategy is clear. What is our strategy? We want to expand, obviously, and we'll want to expand. Let's not get defensive about it, because after our big win in Bengal, where, by the way, the Congress and the left got together and fought us in every seat, 294 out of 294. They got 0, but I don't want to rub it in now. Importantly, so what happens? We are targeting states, 1, where we have to defeat the BJP. 2, where we find the opposition, whoever that opposition is weak. So, Maharashtra, we are not expanding in Maharashtra now. The reasons are obvious. Tamil Nadu, we are not expanding in Tamil Nadu now because the DMK is strong there. And for example, even Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan for the moment, that's not in our top 5, top 6 states to expand. So please understand, what are we saying? BJP strong, opposition weak, that's where we can move in. 2, 3 examples. Tripura is a really good example, because we were on debut in Tripura. I know these were local body elections and it was a lot of rigging and complete booth capturing, but we still got 20% of the vote. BJP got 40 plus. We got 20% of the vote. The left got about 17, 18%. The Congress dropped to below 1%. That's one example of a vote. Second example, Meghalaya. We are the principal opposition party in Meghalaya. And these are Dr. Mukul Sangma's words, the former chief minister. He said, I've joined the Trinamool with 12 of the 17 or 14 of the 17 MLAs because I do believe, he said, that this is the real Congress who can take a fight to the BJP. So we will not be. So this is how I try to explain the
Okay.
scenario. What is the strategy?
But let's look at Ms. Banerjee's very recent high-profile trip to Maharashtra, where she makes some statements that are more than about state-specific electoral expansion. She says about the UPA standing next to Sharad Pawar, there is no UPA. What UPA? She says about, 1 minute, she says about Rahul Gandhi, why talk about someone who's abroad half the time? She says about the Congress party, वो तो बीजेपी का टीआरपी है, waste of time. This is no longer about state-specific expansions. This is giving up on the Congress party. You follow it with a press conference saying, wake up and smell the coffee.
So you've raised 3 questions. And that's the good thing about, I'm not being condescending, but that's the good thing of having a conversation with you. You will raise 3 questions, some uncomfortable questions, and you give me the time to respond to each of the 3. So I'll respond one by one. The first one, UPA. UPA was formed after 2004, few days after the elections. Dr. Manmohan Singh was sworn in. And why was the UPA formed? It was formed not for an electoral alliance, it was formed for governance. So 2004 to 2009 and then 2009 to 2014. So there has been no UPA in existence because it was formed for governance from 2014. Now the second question you asked me about a specific comment about staying or making too many trips abroad.
Rahul Gandhi. Let's not forget who it was made about. Yeah.
Now, this is it. The issue is not whether Trinamool has 4% votes in the last elections and Congress had 20% vote in the last elections. No.
You anticipated one of my questions, but we'll come to that separately.
No.
Anyway.
Because that's not important. The issue is which team under which captain has the best chance of defeating the BJP. So far, we've only proved that in Bengal because the Congress was very much in the battle. And the second time we proved it is in Tripura. Now we still have to roll out in a couple of other states. Okay, for all you know, I mean, I'm giving you a hypothetical. What happens in a state like Goa, where Trinamool end up with a larger, we've only been here for 2 months, we get a vote percentage. What are we saying? 7-time MP, 3-4-time union minister, 3-time chief minister. You've got one side of it. Fighting Modi and Shah in Bengal, 3-time chief minister every time the seats are going up. And on the other side, you have the captain of another team who is consistently 9 out of 10 times under his leadership, the Congress are losing elections. These are the facts. This is not nothing personal.
So you're saying Mamata Banerjee is a more effective captain than Rahul Gandhi?
So the first role for the Trinamool Congress, of course, I am saying that, and that's a fact. And the first role, and I don't need to say that. Me as a Trinamool spokesperson doesn't need to say that. People can come to their own conclusions because the facts are out there. But I think the first thing is, it's important that we have the best team / captain to take on Modi. So for Trinamool, that is our first step. That's our first step. You first have to be in the match as the key contender. All else will follow after that.
Okay, so Rahul Gandhi being abroad half the time is the reason that he's a pretty poor captain compared to Mamata Banerjee, according to you.
I'll share this with you. I'll share something with you, which casually. You see, I also go abroad.
Yeah.
I used to spend at one time 40-45 days every year in New York. Okay.
Your wife lived there. I happen to know that.
So I used to go abroad for 40-45 days every year to New York. The question is, at my level, perhaps even my boss is not very happy when I used to go there for so long. So, but even at my level, and I'm not the head of the India's largest or second largest opposition party, the Trinamool or the Congress, I could do that. Okay. But Mamta Banerjee, election finishes in Bengal. 1 week later, after we just set the Bengal cabinet, we are saying, okay, now where? Tripura, okay. Meghalaya, maybe. Goa, maybe. UP, not now. There is this, because when you're taking on the BJP, they are not a teddy bear's picnic. You're taking on this machine, and that's why that Bengal election for us was so important, because you're taking on muscle, you're taking on CBI, ED, etc. But I think the bigger question here, and this is the positive part of all these developments, is that on 8, 10, 12 issues, all the political parties, whether you're an ally with the party or not an ally, all the opposition parties are together in parliament on the issues: unemployment, sanctity of parliament. I mean, what is happening in parliament? I call it a deep, dark chamber. Okay, with the credit to Veer Sanghi,
Yeah, well,
use the term. But on issues, parliament, opposition is united.
let's come to Parliament separately. You went through 2 of the 3 points. UPA doesn't exist. You explained why. You said we're not an electoral ally of the Congress. On Rahul Gandhi going abroad, you've responded. Mamta Banerjee goes to Mumbai, meets with Sharad Pawar and Aditya Thackeray, 2 parts of the Maharashtra alliance. Doesn't meet with anyone in the Congress. There's some signaling there, isn't there?
No, of course there's a distinction. Sharad Pawar is the president of the NCP, and Uddhav Thackeray is the president of the Shiv Sena. It's another matter that he was recovering from he was recovering from a surgery. I don't mean to give wrong information, but he was recovering from a medical issue. So that's why she met Aditya Thackeray and Sanjay Raut. Now, who she meet in the Congress there? Next, when she was in Delhi last week, these are her words, not mine. When a journalist asked her, you went and met A, B, C, you went and met the Prime Minister, why didn't you go and meet so-and-so person? She said, it's not in the constitution that every time I come to Delhi. So listen, I don't think this is an issue of a punching match or an acrimonious, slanging match. No, it's very clear. Here we are, the Trinamool Congress. We do believe we will sweep Bengal in 2024. So that's done. So we are hungry. We want to expand. And in all this, there is another factor. And people don't discuss this factor. But this is a very, very crucial factor. This is the Trinamool Congress of 2021, Barkha. And the Trinamool Congress of 2021, since the month of June, has a 34-year-old, 2-time member of parliament who's the new general secretary. He's trilingual, he's sharp, he's hungry, and he wants a fight. He wants to expand the party. That's the difference. So this is a combination. So a lot of this is Abhishek Banerjee and the party saying that, listen, Bengal, carry on with good governance. And what is the focus for good governance in Bengal? This time, we've done the social schemes. Yesterday, there was a meeting with a top industrialist, because for the next 5 years, the focus on Bengal is I, industry and IT. This is the focus of Bengal.
Well, there's Mamta Banerjee meeting with Gautam Adani, shots that grabbed a lot of attention.
How cool are your producers to bring that picture up? They didn't even know I was going to mention this. This is so cool.
We're a cool team, and my producers are indeed cool. But let's come back to the issue. The issue is this, Derek. This I and these alliterations are something that you're very good at. But it's interesting that you mentioned the young Abhishek Banerjee, but you did not mention the not so old Prashant Kishore. I bring him up because the Congress party says this is all one big Prashant Kishore plan, and Prashant Kishore is living out his own personal ambitions using Miss Banerjee as the vehicle. And then, of course, his tweet that the Gandhis do not have a divine right to leadership on the same day that all of this is happening gets a lot of attention.
See, Prashant Kishore's tweet, IPAC, this you call him up and you do your own half-an-hour interview. Let us tell you our relationship.
What is the role of Prashant Kishore and the Trinamool Congress now? Is he going to join the party officially? Is he going to be one of the faces of the party?
There's no hide and seek. IPAC IPAC have always been hired by political parties for events, like event management. Okay, events. One election, 1 year, you hire them.
Okay.
Trinamool took a conscious call after we hired them for one election also. We hired them 2019. Contract ran till 21 April. The conscious call the Trinamool took in our relationship with IPAC is that we do not want to engage with you election to election, because we believe politics and building a party and a brand is much more than elections. So that's why consciously 6th of June, Abhishek Banerjee was not elected as the General Secretary, and then the National All India Trinamool Congress National Working Council signed off 5-year agreement with a political strategy agency. So it's like, let me give you a kind of a related example. Cadbury don't hire Ogilvy to do their Diwali promotion for dairy milk. Cadbury would hire Ogilvy to build a brand over 5 years for dairy milk. I mean, I know that's a loose example, but because of my advertising background,
But can you be more specific? Is Prashant Kishore the Ogilvy for the Trinamool Congress, or is Prashant Kishore going to be the ad man who leaves Ogilvy and joins Cadbury?
See, I'm not here to discuss Mr.
I,
Kishore's.
I just want to know the relationship. Is he
No,
one
the
of your
relationship.
own?
The
Is he
relationship now.
is he as good as a Trinamool Congress leader now?
No, the relationship. I'll stick to my earlier analogy. Cadbury is. We've given Cadbury like free publicity today. They were my
I know Gilvy. I know Gilvy. I know Gilvy.
Yeah, one is the client, the other is the agency.
Right. And I'm asking, could those lines blur? Because Prashant Kishore has indicated he'd
no,
like to join active politics.
Yes, let me dwell on that. Yeah, let me dwell on that. Stay with the analogy. Very often, again, I'm not here to discuss somebody's career options. I don't think so. Maybe not, but I don't think. But there have been cases where the brand managers of working in an agency, or what we would call them, account directors working in an advertising agency, they switch over and they join Cadbury. That's happened in the past.
Would you want that to happen, or you think it's not relevant?
No. Trinamool is a place where Mamata Banerjee has many traits, but one of her strongest traits, which she never gets credit for, but doesn't matter, not that she needs the credit. Mamata Di has, when it comes to people, she has the ability to attract people and put them in the right spot. Few quick examples. Sushmita Dev is a good example. Yeah, the Dr. Mukul Sangma is a good example. Leander Pace joined us 2 months ago. He joined not because he'll fight this election, that'll come later. Okay, these are the kind of people. A guy called Saket Gokhale, who's an RTI activist. He's never done full-time politics. I mean, there are so many. I may have left out.
Could you talk about the people she met in Mumbai? We saw Pawan Verma being the latest person to join, and
Pawan Verma joined us. Yes.
Yeah,
so
but we also saw Javed Akhtar moderating that conversation. We saw Swara Bhaskar. Mamata Banerjee gave her an open invitation to join politics. She thought she made a great point. Munawar Faruqi was in the audience. Shobha Dey was in the audience. What do we make of the sort of... Who?
You forgot about the others who joined. We left out Babul Supriyo.
Yes.
And there are so many. So no. Dr. Amit Mitra, I think, is a very good example. Okay. Then in 2003, long ago, 2003, there was a quiz master who said, "I'll quit quizzing and join Mamata Di." There's so many stories like this.
Yes, autobiographical details emerging. We all remember your quizzing days, Derek, fondly. But here's another person we need to speak about. Okay, so PK is the Ogilvy to the dairy milk of the Trinamool. What is Arvind Kejriwal? Is he Amul? Is he the competition, or is he one more brand eventually of the Cadbury sort of factory?
No, let's look at them. Firstly, let me make the distinction, please.
Yeah. I'm being facetious a little bit, of course. But anyway,
Mr. Kejriwal and his entire team, they're personal friends. So he is running Delhi. It has 7 MPs. Bengal 42. 220 MLAs in Bengal. You're talking about a 3-time chief minister. You're talking about a 7-time MP. So the fact that you're comparing Mr. Kejriwal and Ms. Mamta Banerjee is actually credit to Mr. Kejriwal that you're saying this. But I suppose they are expanding. They want to expand. They've expanded in Punjab. They are trying to expand here. So they're also a party which is growing. So personal relationship is different. But you have to remember one thing about Aam Aadmi Party, which people forget. November 8th was the demonetization 2016. 8 days later, when Mamta Banerjee wanted to march from parliament with all her MPs, only 2 parties joined her, not Kejriwal and AAP. Only 2. One was Umar Abdullah of the National Conference.
And the other was Shiv Sena.
And the other 10 points, Ms. Barkha Dutta from Mount St. Mary, Mumbai. The other was Shiv Sena. The other was Shiv Sena. So what does that mean when from that time, when it comes to economic issues? And that's why I said states like Maharashtra, states like Tamil Nadu, they are not priority for Trinamool, as in the same with Madhya Pradesh. Somebody asked me yesterday, are you going to open a unit in Jammu and Kashmir? Lots of people are inquiring from everywhere. We are keeping the inquiries, but we are not moving ahead because also we want to.
But you know, like while we enjoy this jousting and sparring and sort of verbal dueling, I have a serious question about Arvind Kejriwal, and my serious question is this: Kejriwal will be in play if he manages to, let's say, take a state or do well in a state like Punjab. You guys are trying the same. I take the point about the 42 versus the 7 MPs. I take that point. But you all are trying the same in Goa. In Goa, Rahul Gandhi managed to have a photo with a bunch of people whom you were also quoting, right? I'm talking about Vijay Sardesai and gang. If you are not able to dent Goa and Kejriwal is able to dent Punjab, does this game change?
I'm glad you picked this picture. I can't believe you're showing me this picture. Please keep it on. Let me explain. And this is such an important picture to explain to everybody, even if you're not familiar with Goa politics. What's the difference between...
Let's go back to the picture and you talk about the picture. Yeah.
Okay, this is fine. I look better than the picture, but doesn't matter. What does this mean? No, seriously. This is the difference between the Indian National Congress and the Trinamool Congress. Now, you're not going to show me, you're showing the picture. That gentleman in the white shirt with the Congress chief. Now, here we are. In 2017, 2 quick points. In 2017, that gentleman in the white shirt, when the Congress party needed to get to 21 in Goa, Congress under Filero, Mr. Filero got to 17. This guy in the white shirt, his party, 17 plus 3, 20, 1 or 2 independents, government done. That's Mr. Filero in the middle. What happened? 2 things happened, Barkha. 17 out of the 17, 10 MLAs went over to the BJP, and that gentleman in the white shirt took his 3 MLAs. So 10 plus 3, he went and joined the BJP under Mr. Parrikar to form a government. That is what happened in 2017.
But weren't you quoting him?
1 minute. Yes.
Weren't you quoting him?
Fantastic. You're the only journalist who's asked me this question. So I really want to ask him. Yes, we were. And here's the difference between the 2 parties. Our proposal, this is the first time I'm talking about it publicly. Our proposal was very clear. You come with your 2 MLAs, 3 MLAs, you merge your party into Trinamool Congress, then we will do business with you. However, if you choose not to merge your party, there is no deal. Why? Because again, if we asked you just to do an alliance, again, Lord knows what you'll do in February of 2022. You'll be an alliance partner and then you'll jump. The terms and conditions for the term you're using, quoting, is that we ask for a merger. Let me show you one thing. You're not going to believe this. Let me show you one thing. Whole day I've been in Goa today, and all I've been doing, 1 minute, this is very important. You won't believe I've got this here. This is what is, I don't know how to show this to you.
Show us.
Let's see. See,
If there is an alliance between the Congress and move your phone to your left, yeah. If there's an alliance between the Congress and the GFP, my association with Congress is over. Okay, who's what is this?
this is WhatsApps coming to us, people who are now from the Congress, saying, how could they have gone with that guy with the white shirt?
But you were willing to merge with them. So if he has such dubious credibility, why did you want him as a member of your party?
Miss Barkha Dutta, hear me out. I am offering you to merge. That means you follow my rules. And nobody is an angel. You follow my rules when you merge. Alliance, no. And anyway, so what am I trying to say? This is the difference. Now, let me give you another story which I've never spoken to about before. You know what happened in the Bengal elections? This is supposed to be 15 minutes, but we are chatting away. Bengal elections were in 2021. Let me tell you the story. Two stories. 1 year or 9 months before the election, there was a Rajya Sabha seat. 2 years before that, there was a Rajya Sabha seat. We had some extra seats. It was worked out that Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi would be the candidate. Congress gave us the name. Within 2 minutes, that was the name passed from Bengal. Before this election, we came up with a proposal saying that let's use the same formula. You give us any Congress person. We will give you our extra, because we had already 4 elected, we'll give you our extra 20. Okay? The gentleman I'm talking about, I'll not take his name, may his soul rest in peace. Okay? Ahmed Bhai, since these things need to be known, how serious we were about opposition unity. Then what happened? The name was agreed upon. Congress name agreed upon that the Trinamool would support that name. Let me tell you, the senior leadership of the Congress party also signed off on that name. To the best, I got second-hand information because I was talking to the gentleman who was coordinating.
Ahmed Patel, yes. Then?
And lo and behold, that candidate, and the candidate knows, Congress person, and a very well-known Congress person, nationally recognized. We booked the tickets. And then at 10:30 or 11 o'clock, I'm told that, no, we will support the CPM candidate in Bengal for the Rajya Sabha election. So that proposal went out of the window, and our proposal for 30 to 34 seats in Bengal.
Why aren't you naming the person? Why aren't you naming the person?
Which one? Which person?
The Congress candidate.
No, that would be, because it's not the Congress candidate's fault, for God's sake. It's somebody else who did that. And this was approved by the top levels of the Congress, the top. Second, Bengal alliance. No one talked about Bengal, 30, 34 seats, nothing doing. No, we are alone, 294, do an alliance with the left. We can't, keep sitting down and saying, then you call us everything, you say B team or BJP, and we come on. This doesn't work like this. You've had your shot. Now you give us the chance. We will see Parliament also. Parliament, we are coordinating Parliament with everybody, and there's no ego here.
Okay, I do want to talk about Parliament, but we have a couple of minutes left, and I want to come back to those vote shares that you so helpfully flagged in the beginning. What is being said by psephologists is there can be no national opposition, just numerically. Everybody kind of, sees your point about the Congress's drifting leadership crisis, its lack of energy and so on. But people are saying because of the sheer numbers, people are looking at the fact that that if we look at 303 seats that the BJP won in, and we're looking at them in 2019, at least 115 of them were from states where there was a direct battle between the Congress and the BJP. And then there's the vote share, which you already know, and there it is on the screen. How do you counter this point that the Congress, with all its faults, has a bigger national footprint than the Trinamool?
Well, there's absolutely the percentage. The Congress has a bigger footprint in terms of across. How does that convert into seats? I can give you a counter argument. Okay, because eventually it's not about how much vote share. BSP had a larger vote share than so many for so many years, when the smaller parties.
Yeah.
So here's what it looks like. And here's what we think. There are 42 seats in Bengal. And I dare say we will do really, really well. And I'm not a guy for big talk before elections, but you can be rest assured because the BJP is collapsing further collapsing in Bengal. We get around 40 seats in Bengal, and then we are in play for another 10, 12 seats. And suddenly you realize that we are in excess of 50 minimum. Then what happens? So we do believe there is an opposition which needs strong leadership, and it's not about A doing it or B doing it. Mamata Banerjee's track record, her credentials, and her current form, like the good football player or the good cricket player, your current form has to be good. So I would really appeal to those who are within the grand old party. You know, your B team of BJP and all this won't
Does
come.
her does her current form make her the natural face of the opposition leader, the face of the leader
Let
of the
me let me
opposition?
let me let me let me put it to you a little differently. Current form or no current form, I'll be the first person to admit or to happily suggest that the best person to take on the BJP in Tamil Nadu is Mr. Stalin, and the best person to take on the BJP in Maharashtra is Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, and so on and so forth. So
And nationally,
no, nationally it is who can defeat. When you're voting for somebody,
yeah.
if you see the picture of the lady on the left and a picture of the gentleman on the right, one from Bengal and one from Delhi, you will know that Mamata Banerjee's.
You mean the person from Delhi is who? You mean Kejriwal?
I
You mean Rahul? Do you mean anybody?
you're,
We have those
you're,
pictures of Miss Banerjee
this
and Mr.
is
Kejriwal. Do you mean those
this is
pictures?
this
If we
is
can play them again.
this is Mojo.
Yeah,
No,
here. Do you mean the lady
I'm
on the
referring. I
left
am
of?
referring to the Grand Old Party. I'm referring to
Okay.
the Grand Old Party.
You mean
Okay.
Sonia Gandhi and Mamata Banerjee? Well, Sonia Gandhi is not in contention now. You mean Rahul Gandhi and Ms. Banerjee? Go ahead.
Let me say
Yes.
this. No, Barkha. Let me. Why am I? See. Listen. You have the Congress Party have a leader. The Trinamool Congress have a leader, and I think because when you're losing 90% of elections, when you go head to head with the BJP, the opposition cannot be some easy chair saying, okay, a time will come, then you will appoint. I'm not getting into any
Okay, what's
internal
the
matters
word
of any
you'd
party.
use for the Congress party today? What is the word you'd use? Mamta called it TRP for the BJP. What is the word you'd use? Would you say they're dispensable? Would you say that you all don't need them?
No, not at all. I think that this kind of arrogance you'll never hear from the Trinamool, that somebody is dispensable and no. We're something Mukt Bharat. This is not our style. I just think that when a party is going through difficulties, when it's going through churn, when suddenly somebody who is a two-time chief minister of Goa decides to walk out after 52 years, or a Dr. Mukul Sangma in Meghalaya. Now, where is the B team? Your own people are walking out. The whole Congress party in Meghalaya walked out. Something must be wrong. So I'm not here to give them counseling or introspection. But here is Mamata Banerjee going with a positive agenda. It is positive. It is positive. Sushmita Dev. She was your Mahila chief. The pictures come up. Fantastic. She was your Mahila chief.
Yeah.
You should have done something to keep her back. And by the way, let me tell you, Sushmita Dev joined the Trinamool Congress unconditional, like everybody else who joined. So there are no, we'll send you to Rajya Sabha, no, unconditional. And that's what Mamata Banerjee as our chairperson likes the most. That if somebody comes unconditional, then you reward her, then chappad faad ke deta hai.
Okay, let's end with talking about Parliament. We've had 12 MPs suspended. We've had the press, the media fighting for unfettered access. And we can see those sort of petitions being brought to you among other politicians. But how do you win this battle? You can go on rhetorically saying what you're saying, but everything is going to hinge on what happens now in these next assembly elections. What is your objective appraisal of that? And will you have to eat some of these words if, let's say, the Congress does better? And also, just to focus a little bit on Parliament, you get the rhetoric going, but how do you actually have a say in the legislations given what's happening?
No, Parliament is sad. It's a deep dark chamber. What is happening in Parliament is really, really dangerous. It's dangerous for democracy. It is dangerous for the future of this country. I'm saying this because I'm not a cynical person. I'm forever the optimist. The way the bills are passed, the way MPs are not allowed to ask for a vote, the way the government doesn't want to discuss anything which will make them uncomfortable. Every rule, every precedent is broken. And then the worst part is you try and justify it. I mean, I'm seriously considering, is it worth my time?
What do you mean?
Going back to Parliament if my party decides to send me again, because it's a complete, at the moment, it's a complete waste of time, because two gentlemen, Modi and Shah, nobody in their party can stand up and explain to them that there's a simple motto in Parliament: the opposition must have its say, the government must have its way. You cannot rewrite Parliament like this.
So you're saying Parliament is becoming meaningless?
So the other, yes. But what can you do? What do you do? The first is you throw the MPs out. Two is you don't scrutinize any legislation. Three is you stop the media from, you showed those pictures there, you stop the media from covering Parliament. Four, the television channel, which is the government's television channel called Sangsad TV, you're doing an online switch, a cheat. You're cheating during the online edit. Without getting too technical, you know how an online edit is done. Where there are 11 and 12 cameras, you're only cutting from the close-up. You're only cutting from the close-up of the person in the chair to the treasury bench. Every other mid shot, every other long shot is cut out. So you're cutting out the opposition. This is the most, out of everything we've discussed today, this is not about the Trinamool, the Congress, someone posturing, somebody will come, the assembly elections will come, and the assembly elections will go, and like-minded parties will remain like-minded parties in whichever way. But the most dangerous red flag, it's getting worse every session. And I'm talking to you from a party which believes in a fight. We like a fight. We have people like, Dola Sen and so many of my colleagues, I just mentioned one. They like punch above their weight also sometimes, because they believe that we will fight this. And this is what have these people done? You put these 12 names up. What have they done? The actual damage has been done by Modi and Shah, who've gone and told their ministers that, hey, listen, there will be no discussion on Pegasus throughout the monsoon session. Then, Supreme Court slapped them. Why was there no discussion on Pegasus? So, government is accountable to Parliament. And Parliament, as we learned in our civics books, was accountable to the people. So once Amit Shah and Modi in their style make Parliament not work or irrelevant, then the government is not accountable to the people. This is the biggest.
So how do you plan to counter it? I have to close, but how do you plan to counter it? If this is what's happening, according to you, or how do you plan to counter it?
Every day is a challenge. In fact, Monday morning, we're thinking what to do. And when I say we, means it's all. It's not only the four parties who have their MPs outside. We're thinking of how to do this. How do you do this? Because we have to use every tactic in the book to try and do this, because you have to, and this is where I appeal to the presiding officers, the Lok Sabha speaker and the chairman. Can you imagine 2019 May was the election? We are almost in 2022. We don't have a deputy speaker in Lok Sabha. Can you imagine? There has never been a 267 notice to discuss a matter of serious importance. Last time it was done is 2016. Can you imagine? The Prime Minister has never answered a question on the floor of Parliament. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we headed? And that's why I'm saying what Congress does, what Trinamool does, what UPA does, this is all popcorn. The bigger issue, Barkha, how sad I feel. For me, when your party has you elected and go to parliament, yes, you can do debates and you're in your chamber, in the two houses, etc. But you ask any MP, 90% of MPs will say, all that is good. But the heart is Central Hall. There's no work there. Work is only once a year. 364 days balance. We sit there, we chat, we share, we agree, we disagree, we gossip, we have coffee. That's the heart of parliament in a social way. But what happens there? There is interaction between parties. Doesn't matter, you're BJP. I should sit with Mr. Sitaram Yechury also and have coffee. What's the problem? No problem. In Central Hall. There is no Central Hall anymore from next year. Young India, don't allow this to happen. The new Central Vista project, I hope I'm wrong. If I'd be happy to be wrong. But I've been told there's no Central Hall.
I didn't know that. Are you sure of that?
I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I hope in 1 hour's time after your program goes out and says, sorry, Derek O'Brien, I'll say, oh, cool, I'm very happy. This is what I've picked up secondhand. I'll be more than happy. I'll be
I hope you're wrong too. As a journalist who's covered Parliament for 3 decades, I know Central Hall really captures, in a sense, the rare conviviality that exists among members, irrespective of party lines, and that would be a tragedy. So I do hope you're wrong. I personally don't off the cuff know whether you're wrong or right. That's why I'm not able to counter you. We'll have to leave it there, Derek O'Brien. It was meant to be, as you said, a 15-minute chat. We're on our 40th minute. It has been a pleasure. We'll follow what you do, but in the end, Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar, as the cliche goes. So the next set of elections is going to be really critical, and it's been interesting, and we will have you back soon. Thanks and take care. See you soon.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Bye.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.